Welcome back to the test server, boys. Today we're going to check out all of the new weapons that has been introduced in this test server for Crossout patch 0.11. The new faction is slowly getting, leaked by the devs themselves, getting revealed rather. I want to say not really leaked because, they are showing it to us as it is. One of the weapons that we're going to look at today is the plasma cutter, and I am pretty certain that unless this weapon is going to be changed, it's actually going to break the game. The damage on this thing is just absolutely insane. You cannot right now see the perk of it, but basically the perk is perk, calc, extra damage, description. This means that there is some extra damage calculated based on some parameters, and that parameter is whether or not the target is heated. This plasma cutter deals a lot of bonus damage in case the target is heated. Combined with the photon, this is going to make up for some pretty interesting new combinations of weapons, I am pretty sure. Before we get into that, I want to just have a look at all of the new weapons, and then we break them down one by one, what weapons I actually like, what weapon I think will be strong, what will be less than ideal, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, strap yourself in for the next 10-15 minutes here, and let's try to look at all of the new stuff. Starting off with the nail gun, which is the new special rarity weapon from the new faction. This is a weapon that has two different firing modes. First of all, the weapon has the potential to be a very precise tap firing weapon here, as you can see, dealing 25 damage per second. Otherwise, this weapon can also go ahead and get charged and fire. Now, this is a tap weapon that will be, reloading at a constant rate, and this can be affected if we go and grab something like the Colossus and slap onto it. With the Colossus engine alone, still getting a fairly decent fast attack rate here, and then with the Echo perk as well, as you can see, we can actually almost, fully automate this weapon, and that can output quite a lot of damage in a pretty short amount of time. So I think we're going to see some interesting builds with this for sure. This weapon fused for reloading and combined with the Echo and combined with the Colossus definitely has the potential to be quite deadly. We're looking at a 50 meter range, 100 meter range, still no damage drop. 150 meter range as well, still no damage drop. And finally 200 meter and 300 meters. So this is a weapon that I think will have about the same range as an autocannon. As you can see, we are getting a tiny bit of damage drop when we hit the 300 meters, nothing on 200 meters. So there will be some damage drop, but it is on a fairly long distance. And also for the charging here, still a really good range, but it is definitely harder to hit targets. And also very important to note, as you can see here, the time to fully load the gun with the entire magazine is not changed when you use the Echo. It is only the reload time in between each shot that is affected by reloading speed. The damage output, whether you burst or whether you tap fire, is one thing that we haven't looked at, and I actually think we should go ahead and give that a look just for the heck of it. So let's stack up this build with a lot of these guns, and then let's give it another go. So we loaded up with 4 nail guns here. The only thing we have to do is just once again give our little test dummy here a go and see how quickly we can take that one down. Next up, we have the plasma drill. The plasma drill is a weapon that fires a ray of lightning or a ray of laser, and that laser will heat up the target as well as deal damage. It has 2 stages. While the laser is charging up, it deals damage, and once it ends, it sort of explodes in the same amount of damage. Now, from what I've been able to calculate myself too, is the fact that the base damage of this laser is 100, but due to the fact that we are actually heating up the cabin while we hit it, we, gradually increase our damage as we shoot it. Just like the nail gun, this weapon is affected by Colossus and it is affected by Echo, but as you can see there, our charging by the weapon itself is not affected. It is only the reload speed, as with anything else. We're again looking at 50 meters, also 100 meters, and not 150. I actually think it is exactly 150. Yep. So 150 is the limit to this gun. Once you actually get yourself on that line, then it all makes sense. And this is one or two weapons that I want to address from the new pack, which potentially can be very strong. Let's see what happens when we combine this with a photon. This is a triple laser drill setup. Usually you wouldn't go for 4, that would be 16 energy and no room for anything else. But I want to just start a timer here and see how quickly we can chew through 10,000 HP, and with that we can sort of calculate our DPS, considering that we have a constant rate of fire on this weapon. That's, in my opinion, quite strong. Bursting around 800 damage per shot once you have that cabin heated up from the previous shots is just... I mean, for an epic weapon, in my personal opinion, this is very, very strong. And without being able to completely tell what the perk is all about, then I'm assuming that the perk, it says bullet in burst, so I'm assuming that it's something to do with the burst fire that we also, you know, talked about right before. But that is the plasma drill for you. Definitely a strong weapon, and definitely a weapon that I will think will have an impact on the way that we see epics right now in the game. The next weapon that we are looking at is the plasma cutter. Now the plasma cutter is a tap firing weapon here that will shoot and then have a reload. The interesting thing about it is, as you can see here, the projectile itself is rather thick. Now, if I go ahead and shoot this cabin here, we hit him for 64, but there is also the possibility that you only hit partially with the shot, and that will only deal a percentage of the damage on the target. This is the first time that we've seen a mechanic like this in the game, and it is definitely a very interesting concept. This means that, you know, you will be able to maybe hit 2 guns at a time if you're shooting at a target who has like pretty clustered weapons without actually using a weapon that by itself has AoE. This is just a thick projectile. So, and a very interesting new concept, and just like any other weapon, this weapon is affected by the reload cooldowns. For example, if we go ahead and pop the echo here, you can see we can shoot very quickly. This has also been tested with, for example, the Hobby, which increases your explosion radius, and with the Torero, which gives you a greater accuracy. And none of those will affect the projectile here. So it is not in any way an explosion radius or something that can have a higher precision, because the precision is very high. The projectile is just very wide. Once again, we're looking at 50 meters, 100 meters, as well as 150. If we can just barely sneak over, there we go. So 150, but nothing down here. So both limits of the laser and the plasma cutter here is 150. Now, I told you guys that this weapon will potentially break the game. Let me show you just what I mean about that. Like before, the most of the situations does not allow you to use 16 energy on these 4 weapons. But imagine you find yourself in a situation where you have a fire melee, for example, a guy with porcupines. You're able to output a substantial amount of damage, because like I said, the damage on this thing scales with fire. So the more heated up people are, the more damage you deal to them. If you combine that with the photon, which also deals bonus damage for energy weapons on heated targets, you are in for a very nice bonus. As you can see there, the total damage of these 3 on a heated target is a total of just around 1500 damage. I think I calculated to 499 damage actually on a fully heated target. Let's see how quickly we can take down this 10,000 HP and see if we can just near ourselves on a DPS. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what is up with this weapon right now, and I do not hope that it hits the live service with the amount of DPS that it is outputting right now. I tested it on the live on my live stream on one of my Clan Wars builds, and I was able to take my Clan Wars build out in the matter of 2.5 seconds with this weapon, and it has 2700 HP. this weapon is definitely gonna be something that you want to get your hands on if you're planning on getting some of the new stuff and this does not get changed, which I hope it will. And don't get me wrong, guys, this is by no means something that I think the devs have messed up or anything, but they sort of have to start somewhere, and this is where they started. But a very interesting weapon nevertheless, and I definitely welcome it. I think it's a great addition to the game, and it's nice to see all of these new concepts that we are seeing, the nail gun and this and the laser, all sorts of new types of weapons that we haven't seen before. Finally, we have one more weapons test, which is the new lightning gun, and this gun is so unlike anything else on every parameter. It has two different modes, one which is a tap fire. This is gonna be great in clan wars for decloaking people in case you have someone rushing an area. Imagine 3 of these shooting at you. You know, if you have 3 people with these guns in a team, there's no way you're ever gonna get close to them because you can litter every area possible with these shots. And then there is an alternating firing mode, or an alternative firing mode, which is this, where you charge it. And once you charge the gun, you will first of all see the cross and arrow in, and then you will hear a beeping sound. The more you charge it, the quicker the projectile will be, the greater the damage will be, and the greater the precision will be. You charge it in here where the precision becomes fully, and then the time after that where you see the spinning circle around your crosshair is simply greater damage. So once you hit a fully charged gun here, you're gonna get the fastest projectile as well as the fastest damage, whereas this extra time you're giving it right here will give it extra damage. This weapon, just like the rest of them, is not affected by cooling or anything like that, nor will the charging be quicker if you have an Echo or a Colossus. The only thing that will be once again affected is, as you can see, the rate of fire. Charging is still not affected. This rate of fire is, you know, on its own quite deadly though, so I definitely think if this gun makes it to the live service in this state, it's gonna be very meta, and I welcome it. I don't think they should change this gun as of yet until we see how it actually performs against the other guns that we have on the servers right now, but I do think that this has potential to become very, very strong. So overall, what do I think you guys should actually go and invest in? Well, Plasma Cutter, if it makes it to the live service, it's gonna be strong, but it is only gonna be strong in the right combination. It's overall just also a good weapon, but it's a big target, doesn't have a lot of HP, so it's gonna fit well in, I think, but they will have to look at the perk, in my opinion. The lightning gun here, very, very nice. The nail gun, amazing concept, in my opinion. Really, really, really just an amazing concept overall. The fact that we have this weapon that can fulfill 2 roles, so to say, you know, it can both act as a tap firing precise weapon that you can use to poke enemies from afar, but if you do get rushed by a melee, you can go ahead and charge this and unleash all hell on them in one single burst right there, and maybe that will, you know, get them away from you. It's some nice weapons, and I know a lot of people have been like, oh, we need, you know, more guns with great precision where you can run around and not just rush into people. So all in all, I think these guns will satisfy the needs of a lot of people, definitely. We haven't looked at the drone yet, but there's not much to say about the drone, to be honest. The drone is simply just yet another drone. There is a few things that we need to clarify about it. So if you go ahead and find it here and just load up a single drone. First of all, it is a drone that you can send out, and the maximum distance that you can send it out on is, just like all of the other weapons, around 150 meters. Now, the drones here shoot spark like projectiles, but it is very important to note that these will not act as a spark. It does not slow you down. That is quite important to state. Besides that, people are like, it flies so high, it's so impossible to take out, and I honestly think that that will be an issue because it moves very quickly, so it's going to be able to follow most targets, and as you can see, it's only every once in a while that it actually distances itself from the target that it is shooting at. So it is definitely going to be a drone that will be hard to deal with. Will they pull it off at the end of the day? I don't know how they will end up with this drone, but I definitely think that as long as you guys remember to go and be constructive on the forums, tell them what you think in a way that they can actually work with something, then I think it's going to be great, you know. I am personally very excited for this update, and I hope that you guys are as well. But that will be it for this video. I just wanted to have a look at the video, at all of the new, at all of the new videos, at all of the new guns for the game. And yeah, stay tuned. at the early next week, we're going to have a look at overall what we've seen these past 14 days and what I think about it. So stay tuned for the recap. Subscribe if you haven't done it already. Until next time, have an awesome day. Bye bye.